Hello and welcome to Lesson 6 in English Touring Opera's series of singing lessons for adults. My name is Thomas Elwin, and like my colleagues who made the previous 5 lessons, I was meant to be singing on tour with English Touring Opera around England, singing Ferrando in Così fan tutti and the John Passion. And sadly the tour was cut short, but English Touring Opera have been very supportive of all of us, and part of the videos that we're doing is to continue our sense of being a team and being part of English Touring Opera as an organisation. And I'm sure that my colleagues and I will feel a very strong attachment to ETO for many years to come. The previous lesson that Edward Hawkins gave finished with some homework for you all. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. I'm sure if you maybe check out over here, there'll be a link to the video on YouTube or on English Touring Opera's Facebook page, and you'll see Ed talks about posture. Ed is a tall man. He's 6'8", a very generous presence in a room, and he talked about how much he had to consider his posture and get it right for his singing. Now it's the same for all of us. I'm not 6'8", I'm more like 5'11" and a half maybe, but posture is something I have to consider as well. And particularly for me, about 7 years ago I lost my voice, my singing voice, for about 5 months. Now this was as a result of a trauma I experienced, but I had to really consider how my body was set up for me to sing. And ever since getting my voice back in the sort of late 2013, I've been very aware of physical things about how to be healthy as a singer, not just think about warming up and thinking about not eating too much chocolate or peanuts before I sing or not drinking milk, all those things that people have considered that affect their singing, but actually considering my whole body as part of my instrument. And it really is very important that you consider your body as the basis of your instrument. Of course, without air, there is no sound. And to produce the most efficient sense of air and the efficient connection to your body, we want to be free and relaxed and very aware of what we need to use and what we don't need to use. Okay, are you with me still? Good. So one of the first things that I do, apart from Ed's homework, which I know we've now all done, is I check my shoulders out. Are they relaxed? Are they in a good neutral position? They seem so. Okay, let's all together now lift up our shoulders, tense them up. We don't want them like that. We don't want to sing like this. Good. Drop them down in a very central place. Not forward, not back, in the middle like that. Okay, everyone happy? I'll continue. So I've become central, neutral, relaxed, flexible. And one of the first things I do is I check my breath's working, but I also want to really free up the neck. If there's any little clicks here, and I want to make sure that it's all ready for me to start singing and start warming up properly. So I look over my right shoulder. It's probably your left side if you're looking at the screen. And I go like this. So I'm looking over my right shoulder and I breathe in, low breath, and I breathe out on a slow release of breaths. And what I feel is a stretch here and a bit of a compression here. And as I do it one more time, I want to feel those things go a bit further. Good, and back to the middle. How are you feeling? Okay, back to the other side. And the same again. Good, good, good. And back to centre, to the middle. Now do the same thing, but I want you to lean either side. So starting on your right, lean over there, and the same thing again, breathe in and out on an S. Good, and as you do that, I'll explain a bit why the S. So we want that out breath to be very consistent and slow. And when you do it on an S like that, okay, go to the other side. When you do it on an S like that, it's very obvious when it's not consistent, and very obvious when your breath is stopping or you're breathing out too quickly, or all those things that you want to check on your breath. So if it's just a consistent S like this, I know that my breath there is all the same, very consistent out breath. Whereas if it stutters a bit, I know that somewhere my breath and my breathing apparatus is locking, which we don't want, obviously. And if it's too quick, then you feel you might get a bit of tension up here. You might feel a bit of tension back here as well. And it's not setting you up to have a relaxed singing apparatus. When I say apparatus, I mean really from your head down to the top of your legs. In fact, your whole body. Your whole body is your singing apparatus, what we use to sing with. So, our neck and shoulders are relaxed. We've done some breathing out. And now I want you to consider how else you can prepare your voice best to sing. I had some speech therapy years ago, part of my getting my voice back after that trauma. And the speech therapist talked about vocal hygiene, and what she meant was how to look after your voice, really. And the two things that are real voice killers, and also voice savers as a result, are getting sleep and hydration. So you might see just there, I have water. And you might see just down there, I have a bed. No, I don't have a bed down here. Okay, so get good sleep, drink a lot, and stay hydrated through the day. So people talk about drinking 1, 2, 3 litres. I just drink as much as I can. I always have a glass of water. Whenever I go inside to the kitchen, I have a glass of water. And always have water here in my studio. Very important to be hydrated. Now, the next step, we've done that, those breathing exercises a little bit, we've done that release a bit, is we want to start singing. Now, keeping the breath in mind, let's do an exercise that really checks the breath, and it's using a rolled R. I hope you can all roll your R's. If not, try maybe a lip trill. What I mean by a lip trill is this. Okay? What I mean by a rolled R is this. And I'm going to do 2 types of rolled R exercise. We're going to have a frontal rolled R exercise, like this. That's frontal. And then I want a puffy cheeks rolled R exercise. So we roll the R, but with puffy cheeks. Jenny mentioned puffy cheeks. Okay. We're going to do whole scales, okay? So, with me, we'll start low down, just a B flat. A frontal rolled R first. Good. And before I continue, the breath you want to give before you start singing is that release and start. All the teachers so far have talked about breathing a bit. I'm not going to go too far into that, but I do want you to consider where that breath is happening and how relaxed and how sort of poised it sets you up to sing. So before I sing, I always release and the breath happens, okay? I release low down and then I'm ready to use that air in the way I want, which is to make a noise from here coming out of my mouth, okay? So we're going to B, and this is a 9-note scale, twice, but this time I want you to do it on a puffy cheek rolled R. Good, and now a frontal one. Puffy cheek. That was puffy cheek, wasn't it? Frontal, now do frontal.
Puffy cheek.
Good. Now you can continue that as high as you want to go, as low as you want to go. But what you want to do is make sure the roll R is happening all the time. If the roll R stops, then that's the air not quite working right. It might also be some sort of tensions coming. And Jenny in lesson 3 talked about keeping this relaxed and space here, but making sure the jaw is relaxed and everything is just set up for the sound just to come out without you stopping it. Because actually what tensions do up here are affect the sound and they stop the sound working freely. What we're trying to do as opera singers is produce the most brilliant sound with the least effort. We want to produce a really efficient sound that can travel a long way. It's also beautiful and emotive and all those things. We want all those qualities, but the most important thing is the efficiency, because we have to sing for sometimes 3, sometimes 4 hours in an evening. And if you're not singing efficiently, quickly you'll lose your voice. Quickly the muscles that are substituting for what you should be doing will tire out and you won't be able to sing the whole role. So what do I mean about efficient singing? Well, imagine a bell, and the perfect bell sound is when you hit it in a very specific place. If you hit it on the top, it doesn't sound right, but you get a bit of sound. But if you hit it right on the edge and it ding, and then it rings. So we want the same idea singing-wise. So with that, this rolled R is about controlling the amount of air we use and not trying too hard, not pushing it. You have to have all the way through your register that rolled R working well. And doing 2 scales of it, that's quite a lot of air you use. We want to be as efficient as possible with that air, very sort of consistent airflow, and keep that rolled R going. Try it again with me. We'll go from a C, and this time do it with just frontal. Did a cheeky hold up there on that D. Try that at home if you want. Part of the roll R exercise is really good. It takes you all the way through your range if you want, and it gets your airflow going. Now, in a room like this, it feels quite boomy. It's a very new space, not too many soft furnishings that are stopping that echo. Now, acoustics are very different wherever you sing, and that's a real issue for singers. Feedback can be different, and your ears like to lie to you. We're all surprised when we hear our speaking voices because we aren't already aware of what we really sound like. And it's the same with singing. So the next thing I want you to do is try these roll R exercises, but I want you to cover your ears and see what that does. I want you to take a nice, easy, released breath, and I want you to just roll R from, I'll play some chords for you. We'll go C, maybe up to E. And I want you to do those scales, but cover your ears so you can't really hear yourself singing. And then I want you to think about how that affects you. So number 1. I won't sing, I'll just play the chords. So we're going to start. Okay. C sharp. Good, next one. Two more. And the last one. Good. So you've done some rolled R's and you've covered your ears. Now what you might feel is a greater sense of connection to your body. You might feel a greater sense of what's happening below here. And so what the ears do is they hear a sound that's already left you. So if you affect the sound by what you've heard, all you're doing is affecting a future sound, not the sound that's just released. So if you don't like that, well, you can't affect it, it's gone already. If the sound is out there already, if you're trying to affect that sound, all you do is usually negatively affect the next sound. So what I want you to do is to try and turn your ears off and turn your body sensation on. I want you to be really aware of how you feel physically when you're singing. That's a sort of step on from this posture thing. Our posture's good, and we're aware of how to look after our body and voice in terms of the health of it. And now with the ears, it's very important because sometimes you sing in a big church and you get this feedback all the time, and then you sing in a really dead theatre and you don't get it back, and your ears go, oh, where's my sound? Where's my sound? Oh, I can't affect it. Oh, I'm going to disappear into myself. Your shoulders get tense, and we know how that affects your breathing. And then that affects your voice, and then you lose your voice and you lose your stamina. So actually, by turning your ears off and being trusting with the physical sensations of making that noise, what you're doing is being generous to your sound. It might sound like a contradiction that by not listening you're being generous to the sound, but you don't want the sound for you. You want it to go out to people. You want people to enjoy the sound you're making. I want you to do a few more exercises with covering your ears. So I'm going to take a phrase from our first act aria from Così, Un'ora amorosa. I'm going to show you how your ears and listening can affect you. I'm going to try and sing it by listening too much to myself, and then I'm going to cover my ears and just listen to my body. So, just the first couple of phrases. Nostro tesoro, un dolce ristoro al cor porgerà. Okay, I've sung this roll a lot. That's probably not bad. But I know that there are some maybe little things that were leaning slightly the wrong ways or tensioned or whatever because I was listening to myself singing too much. Now I'll do that again, but I'll cover my ears and see if you notice a difference. Un'ora amorosa del nostro tesoro, un dolce ristoro al cor porgerà. Did you notice a difference? Maybe write a little comment underneath if you can say if you noticed a difference. Obviously, I'm not going to listen back to this right now, so I hope there's a difference. What I know is different is that physically I feel more connected when I'm not listening to myself. So the next stage of that exercise, so you've sung it listening to yourself, you've sung it without listening to yourself, maybe you record yourself doing those two things. The next stage is to do those phrases again, not covering your ears, but trying to turn your thoughts away from what you're hearing and to the physical side of your singing. I'll try that. Un'ora amorosa del nostro tesoro, un dolce ristoro al cor porgerà. Okay, for me that felt the best yet. So then, knowing that our ears lie to us about our singing, we can be more generous with how we're feeling physically. Okay, homework time. Ed's homework was about posture. I want you to continue that posture work this week, but I want you to take some phrases of a piece of music you sing, maybe it's in the choir you're in, or a song that you know that you're learning, and I want you to firstly sing it through to a roll R, that tune. So like, if I was doing 1 hour again, I'd sing it like this. Both a frontal and a puffy cheek roll R. But I also want you to practice by not listening to yourself. So I want you, maybe if you've got earplugs, you've got sort of ear protectors, or just use your hands, I want you to cover your ears and sing. Maybe a phrase, the first phrase of your song, or whatever you've chosen to practice. And I want you to really be aware of how you feel physically, and increasingly I want you to turn the effort level down here and up down there. And that's really the aim. The aim is so that here it's a effort level, let's say 1 to 10, we're talking a 2. 1 or 2 here. Here, there's no effort. Down here we want 6, 7, 8 maybe. You really want to be physically aware that I'm singing from low down, physically I'm making a noise. So your homework, just to be a bit more succinct, is to practice a song, any song that you want to sing, with rolled R's, but also covering your ears. Maybe you record yourself when you're doing it, and check in, see how things feel different and how they sound different as well. Sometimes you might do a scale and take your hands away mid-scale and go, oh, that's a funny, I didn't realise my sound was like that. And really be very analytical about how that sound and physical feeling changes. Okay, happy with that homework? Now, I've been very happy to do this lesson for you. I'm not quite sure who the next lesson is from, but I hope you enjoy that lesson. If you've enjoyed this lesson and you'd like to learn more with this series, do check out the previous lessons, and make sure you're following English Touring Opera here on YouTube, or on Facebook and Twitter. Check out their website, see what they've got coming up, and we hope to be back with you soon, performing out in the theatres around the country and concert halls. It's a real sadness that we don't have this proper connection with our audience, but this is hopefully something to fill that void a little bit. I hope you stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye.